Hey there and welcome back to XCOM 2. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our Legend Ironman walkthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Last time we left off after a second and this time successful attempt at the Heroes of the Resistance achievement, we managed to complete a retaliation mission with only 2 civilian casualties, and one of them we actually took down ourselves. Now, before we jump into today's episode, let's make 2 quick purchases at the GTS. We still have the class-specific tactics for the Skirmisher and the Reaper left to purchase. For the Skirmisher, it's just a 5% chance for a free move after the first move each turn, while for Reapers it's an increase to the hacking stat, completely pointless in my opinion. Meanwhile, concealment from Advent Watchtowers, maybe not so much. And with that, we have now grabbed every single GTS upgrade in the game. Unfortunately, there is no achievement for that. So let's keep scanning. We have a new rumor here offering us supplies, but despite just spending 400, we still have plenty.
Avenger plotting new course.
And so instead, we continue what we started last episode, going after assorted loot. This will be one, or if we are lucky, several weapon attachments, and if we are really lucky, maybe even a superior one that we could use.
Our actions have succeeded, and the Elders grow fearful.
Right, Covert Action complete, Bomb Squad Resistance Order unlocked. Much more important than that, however, the will increase for Sharpshooter Redonis.
We are ready for more orders, Commander. We only await your choice.
Now, this Resistance Order here could be of some use, however, it is really not part of our bigger plans. Instead, we will now continue to boost Redonis' will. This next Covert Action here unfortunately only giving him a 3-point boost. However, this time we also unlock improved beam weapons, which is absolutely fantastic, arguably one of the best breakthroughs in the entire game. This gives us a flat 1-point damage increase to all of our late game weapons, and yes, this does also include the weapons that we salvage from the Chosen. So let's send out Redonis once again together with bondmate Echo Sierra, and because this is a breakthrough covert action, we also need to assign a scientist, in this case Marcus Sanson.
We will begin the covert action immediately, Commander.
And with that, we can now continue scanning. Up next, we should now complete the autopsy of the Gatekeeper.
We have made a number of new discoveries, Commander. I have come to suspect that this creature's unusual appearance is somehow directly connected to its notable psionic aptitude. The aliens always have some reasoning to their actions, even as twisted as it is often revealed to be.
So, Gatekeeper autopsy complete, and you can see why I don't consider this one to be absolutely crucial. The tier 3 Psi-Amp only benefiting our Psi operatives, and I know this is personal preference, but we're not using them all that often. Up next then, I think we have the extra 3 days here to decrypt another datapad. Afterwards though, we will continue completing the remaining autopsies.
I agree. That is an important task, Commander.
And so, let's keep scanning. Our rumor here should be almost completed. And indeed, there we go, salvaging an advanced repeater, sadly not really an item that we need at this point. We then have 2 rumors to choose from, either a region income increase or a flat supply drop, and considering that we are likely not going to play the game for that much longer, I suspect that the region income increase will not be in effect for long enough to be worth it, so I think the supplies here will be the better choice. And there we are with the set of Guerilla Ops for this month, and this time around we are looking for something very particular. And a surgical mission countering a rather harmless dark event is not it, even though the 124 intel here would be nice. The mission in Eastern Europe then comes with a great sitrep, however we already have more engineers than we need, and the collateral damage dark event is once again not all that threatening. And that brings us to the new Arctic, a mission where we don't really care about much other than the fact that it takes place in assassin territory. And considering that the mission rating is very difficult with only 10 of the easiest enemies in the game, I suspect that the assassin herself will make an appearance, which coincidentally is exactly what we want.
Setting course for the Arctic.
Now, in today's mission we will hopefully tackle the Chosen a little differently than in our previous encounters, because this time we actually want her to capture or at least extract knowledge from one of our soldiers. And that is why squaddy Long Volley Dissglerio is with us here today, in a role very much as bait for the assassin. Let's hope that works out. For the rest of the squad then, Ranger Mig and Schwaminian are both close to promotions, Twitchy comes along as Schwaminian's bondmate, Pale Rider Hancock fills the role as sharpshooter, and Psi Operative Lewin also joins us. Unfortunately, we currently do not have the necessary Elerium crystals to purchase the tier 3 Siam for him, so instead he gets a Shredstorm cannon. Let's see what he can do with that.
Sky Ranger deployed.
Squad green to deploy.
We've been picking up unusual readings coming from this area, and our recon team has confirmed that Advent is now operating some sort of massive psionic transmitter nearby. Shen and Tygan agree, if we destroy the transmitter while it's still connected to Advent's network, their operations across this entire region could be crippled. Advent has constructed a psionic transmitter in this area, tied directly into their primary network. Our intel suggests destroying it while it's still connected will severely damage their linked systems. Plant the explosives before they have a chance to pull the plug.
Alright, so we start things off in concealment. The mission objective should be familiar by this point. We need to plant X4 charges on the psionic transmitter over here. To do so, we start things off with only a 4-turn timer, but along the way we will find power relays that we can destroy to increase that time. With his first move then, Ranger Mig does not detect any hostiles. Meanwhile, wearing the Icarus armor, Pale Rider Hancock does.
I've got enemy movement here.
So, we've got a heavy mech and a Spectre as our first 2 enemies of the mission. No need to engage them just yet, however. Instead, let's move our concealed squad into better positions for the ambush on the next turn.
We're close.
Our readings indicate that relay is feeding energy directly into their network. If you can destroy it, it may disrupt their efforts to isolate the transmitter.
So, Mech and Spectre come to a stop right in front of us, so let's get things going. Thankfully, we have blue screen rounds on Shromenian, the perfect opening move, I think.
They found us!
So the Spectre moves over to the side a bit, although at 7 hit points it shouldn't pose too much of a threat. The mech meanwhile goes on Overwatch, which we can now promptly remove, as Pale Rider Hancock has 2 guaranteed hits with his pistol.
By the numbers.
1 down, 1 more to go, and Twitchy has various aim bonuses, so even behind full cover the Spectre here is not safe.
I definitely got that.
And there we go, that's both enemies down and our turn is far from over. So let's have Long Volley Dissglerio do his name justice and go to work on the first power relay.
Well done. As we had hoped, the network separation has been temporarily delayed.
Moving up with Ranger Mig meanwhile reveals not 1 but 2 additional groups of enemies. The first a mech, a lancer and a trooper, the second a sectoid and another Spectre. Reason enough, I think, to put at least a few soldiers on Overwatch as we end our turn.
Retreat. Affirmative. Covering now.
Consider yourselves lucky.
And there we are, the assassin is indeed making her appearance. However, if everything goes according to plan, then we won't have to worry about her for too long. I guess we'll find out soon enough.
At the very least, you will die with honor.
Heads up out there. It's the Elder's assassin, and she's moving into the AO.
Armor still holding.
Right, Potato Lewin with a successful Overwatch shot against the mech. This is actually very convenient as it now activates this group and thus forces the 2 Advent soldiers to come closer. Sectoid and Spectre meanwhile just keep moving around, they are not active yet, and I'm hoping that we can keep it that way. So on our turn, Mad Lewin is immediately up again, this time with a very fitting use of the Shredstorm cannon.
Rip them to shreds.
Alright, beautiful. That was definitely perfect placement by these three. And because we want to keep Long Volley Dissglerio up front as bait, he is up next. Let's see if he can hit a 94% to take out the mech. Very good, and that now leaves Sharpshooter Hancock to take out the other two. The first kill here will trigger death from above.
Only the best.
Or even better than that, it first triggers the hair trigger, so after the second shot here we even get another action.
Did you see that one?
They exist to serve the Elders, to fight and die on the field of battle. I see you've collected a trophy from one of my fallen brethren. Wield it well.
And after a few words of encouragement by the assassin, we can now move up a bit further with the rest of the squad, although always making sure that we stay behind Long Volley Dissglerio. Still cloaked, Ranger Mick can then even get onto the high ground, and from there we now activate overwatches.
I'm on it.
And as expected, Spectre and Sectoid do not wait long to join the action. The first reaction shot here, however, is guaranteed to miss because of the Spectre's lightning reflexes.
Enemy is still up.
So enemies number 6 and 7 move in, still at full health, and that means it is now the assassin's turn.
Damn it! Find some cover! Ich fühle mich nicht so gut.
Enjoy these fleeting breaths while they last. I am all that remains of the Chosen, and I will not go quietly.
It's one of the Elders chosen. Damn it, one of our soldiers is down. They're vulnerable to the Chosen's attacks in that state. Get them back on their feet ASAP.
So, the assassin's melee attack against Quinn Dissglerio here exactly what we wanted to happen. The mission timer now also frozen as a result of her appearance, although she has now moved back a substantial amount. And for what we have planned, we will actually need to leave her be entirely. So for the moment we will only focus on taking out Spectre and Sectoid, which I don't think will be too difficult. Using an Icarus jump, Hancock can get himself over there and importantly way out of the assassin's range, and then he can use Lightning Hands to kick things off against the Spectre. The shot is a critical, so let's just fire again. Chances are we get the kill with this one.
That's right.
And for good measure, how about we take aim at the Sectoid too? With a 70% crit chance, a kill is once again very likely.
What did you expect?
They die as warriors, as great a death as one could hope for.
So, Hancock cleaning house, the rest of our squad will now do their best to get away from the assassin, just so she doesn't get any ideas. Although, while we're at it, we might as well buy ourselves a bit more time. And so, with 4 turns left on the clock and Ranger Mick still cloaked, we can move him up just a tiny bit further, have Twitchy take his old place and then end our turn. No movement on the alien turn, and so we are back to the assassin, who moves in but doesn't do anything else, probably because Dissglerio is in fact out of range.
At one time, your people fought honorably. Now you scurry in the shadows like rodents.
So, honestly, I had not expected this to happen. Clearly, the assassin here is going after our still dazed Long Volley. It looks to me, though, like she simply ran out of moves, so I suppose we will have to give her one more turn. And that means that we already have time to approach the psionic transmitter.
Cible ennemi en visuel. Objectif apporté.
That's a confirmed visual on the transmitter. Plant the X4 charges before they can cut it off from the network.
So, we have spotted not only the transmitter, but also our final 2 enemies. The total count of 10 includes the assassin, so Lancer and Officer here the only Advent forces left. Despite an 89% hit chance then, Mick misses the axe throw. Still, this last enemy part is now active, so let's attack with a free rage strike from Twitchy. And despite moving very far, this did not cost Twitchy a single action point, although even if it did, we only need one here, to use Chain Shot just to make sure. With Mick, meanwhile, we can activate a run-and gun to get the most out of his last action point. Let's see if the guaranteed crit here is enough to get him the kill. Well, unfortunately it is not. The Lancer remains standing with a single hit point, although that's nothing that Psy-Operative Lewin can't solve, and because his hit chance is good but not great, let us instead go with Soulfire.
The mind is willing. That's what we're looking for. By the numbers.
They fall just as they serve, without question or regret.
C'est pas un explosif ou un truc comme ça?
So, 9 enemies dead, and we have even recovered some loot. At this point, the only one left is the assassin, who will hopefully be able to complete her task on this next turn. So, once again, let's make sure that we stay as far away as possible from her, and then we wait and see what happens.
You risk much by allowing your soldiers to fall in my grasp. This one will share a great deal about your organization. I can only hope that all of our future encounters go as well as this one has.
With the information the Chosen extracted from our soldier, they'll be closer than ever to finding you, Commander. We're not picking up any other contacts. Get those charges deployed.
So, after extracting some knowledge from Dissglerio, the assassin vanishes, the daze effect also wears off, and with that the map is officially enemy-free. Now, this will of course have consequences, we'll talk about those in a moment, but let's take things one step at a time. Let's dash Schwaminian over to the transmitter, give him teamwork, courtesy of Twitchy, and with the extra action we can then plant the X4 charge and finish the mission.
Signal confirmed. X4 charges are active. That transmitter is history. Good work, Commander. The Chosen have recovered more information about us, Commander. If they keep this up, they'll eventually be able to find the Avenger. We need to stop them before that happens.
So, this right here is why we somewhat sacrificed Dissglerio in today's mission. With the extra knowledge gained, the assassin has now maxed out her knowledge bar, and that means she can now launch an assault on the Avenger, something that I would really like to show you once more. So, getting to that point was essentially the purpose of this entire mission. Obviously, it wasn't an entirely risk-free endeavor, but usually if you present the Chosen with an easy target like this, then more often than not they will take the bait. And so, with an injured but still alive Long Volley Dissglerio, we now return to the base, where we should have 2 promotions waiting for us.
Today's senseless attack by the dissident forces of XCOM creates nothing but misery for our loyal citizens. The so-called resistance lashes out, attempting to sow discord and tragedy in their wake. But we shall not falter. Advent shall prevail.
The Chosen are doing everything they can to find us. We'll just have to be more careful about protecting our downed soldiers.
Alright, so Long Volley out for 14 days, I think that's a fair price to pay. Meanwhile, we have promotions waiting for Mig and Schwaminian. And let's begin with our Ranger, who will now grab Rapid Fire. Since we haven't grabbed any other melee abilities, Reaper does not really make sense. For Schwaminian then we will grab Ever Vigilant to nicely synergize with Covering Fire, and we might also want to grab Guardian on top of that at some point down the line. Our loot from the mission then, corpses that we have long autopsied as well as the advanced autoloader, really nothing all that exciting.
You and your crew have dealt another serious blow to the aliens' efforts today, Commander. Impressive work.
Impressive indeed, almost 300 supplies for our efforts, although unfortunately, but also quite understandably, Dissglerio has now developed the negative fear of the Chosen trait, and we can only remove that once he has made a full recovery. In the meantime, let's keep scanning. We have a bit more time left today, I think. And we are now presented with yet another rumor, one for Avenger power, something that we really do not need at all.
Avenger plotting new course.
So instead, let's fly back to that supply drop. Perhaps something more worthwhile shows up in the meantime.
There is no honor in these tactics, and I do not regret their failure.
Alright, very interesting. The assassin failing with a chosen sabotage. That does not happen often, but of course we'll gladly take it.
Alien facility coordinates locked in, Commander.
To somewhat make up for it at least, the aliens then construct another facility. Overall though, the Avatar project is nowhere near completion.
We completed our research in remarkable time, Commander. Greetings, Commander.
So then, we have acquired some more intel and are now also tempted by another breakthrough. However, I think with improved beam weapons we should be fine. So let's keep going with the autopsies, and we will begin with the Lost. With the Andromedon, I still have hopes that we might be able to acquire 2 more corpses. That's all we need for that one to be instantly completed.
Although similar in appearance to the psionic zombies we have encountered previously in our engagements with the aliens, all current indications are that these Lost are the product of something else entirely. Prolonged exposure to the chemical agents first released in the earliest stages of the invasion seem to have turned these once innocent civilians into yet another form of the undead.
So, Lost Autopsy underway. This should only take 2 days, which means we should have the completion of another round of psionic training coming up next. And indeed, Red Fighter Flores now learns the Fuse ability, and for his next one I think we'll go with Fortress. Similar logic here as last episode with Mad Lewin. There are some enemies against whom this could be really powerful.
I think you will find our results have exceeded expectations.
And with that, we now complete the Lost Autopsy and unlock the Ultrasonic Lure, a device that I honestly don't know what to make of. Its intended use is essentially a mimic beacon for the Lost, but the Lost are rarely the type of enemy to give you any problems, so I am not entirely sure if we're ever going to need this, or if we are ever going to run into Lost again at all for that matter. Either way, up next, let's dissect the Advent Priest.
This specimen, known to our troops as the Advent Priest, has up until recently been rarely sighted outside the city center. While not physically intimidating, much like the elders themselves, these priests are deceivingly powerful psionic beings. Even in death, their remains still radiate with powerful afterimages of psi energy.
And with Tygan once again busy chopping, we keep scanning until we see the completion of our current covert action.
Our cooperation has proven to be a boon to the Resistance.
So, not only have we now unlocked improved beam weapons, but we have also gained a 3-point will increase for Lunar Adonis, and we are in fact not done yet. With this next covert action here we can grab a further 3 points, alongside 12 ability points, and of course you can never have enough of those.
Our order is clear, and we will obey it.
As we then jump back into the world map, we complete another round of psionic training for Mad Lewin. He has now gained permanent immunity to fire, poison, acid and explosives, and so for his next ability let's pick something that can deal some damage, and Null Lance strikes me as the best option available here. And with that, let's head back to the map. In just a second we should be able to queue up our final autopsy.
This will prove to be an important step forward.
So, the Advent Priest has been dissected and we unlock the Sustaining Sphere, a single-use item activating something that is not unlike the Priest's Sustain ability, essentially capable of saving a soldier from certain death. Whether or not that's actually a useful item I think depends a lot on how you play the game. Personally, I like to take enemies out before they can do damage, which is why I'm actually more happy about the improved beam weapons breakthrough. Either way, we have now made it. This here, the final research project of the game. Let's take a deeper look at the Andromedon.
As initially speculated by Shen, it does in fact appear that this creature is restricted to the confines of its own hulking environmental suit. Unfortunately for our troops, the suit itself is a powerful physical threat, regardless of the operator's status, as we learned with some astonishment in the field.
So here we are then, having just given our research labs the final task of this series, we are now once again one step closer to full completion. And as you can see in the bottom right corner, we have a supply drop coming up. Afterwards then, it's open season. With the Assassin's maxed out knowledge bar, an assault on the Avenger could now happen at any time, although that is just one of a few things that we still need to do before we can call the series truly complete. So stay tuned until the next episode. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.